Hi, I'm Warren Sprouse. You're on the Bible Forum. I want to talk to you about the days of Noah. Did you know witches outnumber Presbyterians in the United States? Yeah. Wicca and paganism are growing what the ChristianPost.com calls astronomically. And this doesn't even factor in the atheists. The population of self-identified witches has risen dramatically in the United States in recent decades as interest in astrology and witchcraft practices have become increasingly mainstreamed. And so while the data is sparse, Quartz.com, they call themselves QZ.com, noted that the practice of witchcraft has grown significantly in recent decades. Those who identify as witches have risen concurrently with the rise of the witch aesthetic. Continuing on, they say while the U.S. government doesn't regularly collect detailed religious data because of concerns that it may violate the separation of church and state, several organizations have tried to fill that data gap. From 1990 to 2008, Trinity College in Connecticut ran 3 large detailed religion surveys. Those have shown that Wicca grew tremendously over this period. From an estimated 8,000 Wiccans in 1990, they found there were about 340,000 practitioners in 2008, less than 20 years. They also estimated there were around 340,000 pagans. Pagans. Pew Research Center studied the issue in 2014, discovering that about 0.4% of Americans, that would be 1 to 1.5 million people, identify as Wicca or pagan, meaning their communities continue to experience significant growth. The rapid rise is not a surprise to some, given philosophical and spiritual trends in the culture. It makes sense, they write, that witchcraft and the occult would rise as society becomes increasingly postmodern. Postmodernism is a term to define the anti-Christian, non-Christian majority. The rejection of Christianity has left a void that people, as inherently spiritual beings, will seek to fill, said author Julie Roys, formerly of Moody Radio. Plus, she said, Wicca has effectively repackaged witchcraft for millennial consumption. No longer is witchcraft and paganism satanic and demonic. It's a pre-Christian tradition that promotes free thought and understanding of earth and nature. But such repackaging is inherently deceptive. Royce added that a generation with a little or no biblical understanding is prone to accept. It's tragic and a reminder of how badly we need spiritual revival in this country, and also that our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the powers of this dark world, referenced in Ephesians 6, which talks about spiritual warfare, by the way. Similarly, radio host and author Carmen LaBerge noted on Twitter that the figures are striking in that witches outnumber certain Christian denominations. As the mainline Protestantism continues to devolve, the U.S. witch population is rising astronomically. There may now be more Americans who identify as practicing witches, 1.5, than there are members of mainline Presbyterianism. PCUSA sports 1.4 million, she said. Portrayals of occultism as either fun or morally neutral have been appearing more and more in culture in recent years, and in light of growing interest. Companies like cosmetics giant Sephora have attempted to capitalize it, marketing a starter witch kit to customers interested in dabbling in witchcraft. But the company angered a number of actual witches and was ultimately forced to apologize and to pull the product. In October 2017, MarketWatch reported that the psychic services industry grew 2% between the years 2011 and 2016, an industry that is now worth approximately $2 billion with a B. Also, within the last several years, according to Pew, the percentage of people's ages, 18 through 29, who never doubted the existence of God, dropped from 81% in '07 to 67% in 2012. So rather than deeming everything that is supernatural demonic, the church needs to wake up to the reality of this realm and begin to approach it from a kingdom perspective, she says, which understands its place and purpose. America and a pastor at Crossroads Community Church in Virginia, in a Christian Post interview at the time, said the sad thing is that these millennials who are exploring the dark side of the supernatural have more faith and belief than most Christians. Why? Because they're open and they're spiritually hungry. As a result, the spirit realm is responding. The business hindrance to understanding the realities of the spirit realm, however, is unbelief. Perhaps most infamously, months after the presidential inauguration of May 2017, an editorial in the Los Angeles Times, written by novelist Diana Wagman, openly spoke of putting a curse on the president and encouraged others to cast similar spells in order to bind Trump. The hashtag, bind Trump. This is America at the end of the age. While we are going merrily along our way and doing the things that we do every day, there are forces at work underneath and around and above, forces of evil, who are just waiting for the opportunity to jump in. We see the rioting around these cities. Most of the cities that experience rioting are run by liberal governments. But we see it. And it's not an accident that it's occurring in liberal cities or in major cities. There's a lot going on underneath and around the corner that most of us don't know anything about. We just pray. Come, Lord Jesus.